We are live now. Please go ahead, Vijay.
Okay.
Kritika, ready இருக்கீங்களா?
Yes, Jay. Okay. ஒரே நிமிஷம். So, hello everyone. I'm Kritika Bharati and I'm an EC member in GATS team. And it's my privilege to welcome you all to this Artificial Intelligence Bootcamp conducted by GATS. So this session is going to be held by Dr. Vijay Kumar Gandapuri. So let me say a few words about him. Dr. Vijay Kumar has led several leadership positions at Reynolds American, the Coca-Cola Company, Cox, E-Trade Financials, and Dun & Bradstreet. He's also a professor in Georgia State University, where he teaches artificial intelligence and big data analytics. He's taught over 100 plus students in this university. Apart from this, he has led several boot camps on AWS, Azure, and Salesforce, where he has trained 300 plus students. Several of his students have won the Microsoft Hackathon Award. He's also been a guest professor in Clemson and Emory universities. To mention some of his key achievements, he's been a keynote speaker on artificial intelligence in the conference in Malaysia, where he has represented both North and South America in the Next Tech Asia conference. Dr. Vijay has also been the Chief Data Analytics Officer in North America conference. He's also been the Chief Data Officer in Atlanta conference. Also, he's been the AI or machine language judge in judging Atlanta corporate companies. So with further ado, I welcome Dr. Vijay Kumar to lead the session and elaborate more about artificial intelligence. Welcome, Dr. Vijay. Dr. Vijay, I think you're on mute.
Thank you. எல்லாருக்கும் வணக்கம். I'm going to be speaking in English. ஏன்னா சில பேர் இதுல தமிழ் இந்த ஊர்ல இருக்கனால தெரியாம இருக்கும். அது இல்லாம நிறைய சின்டாக்ஸ் வேர்ட்ஸ் எல்லாம் வந்து இங்கிலீஷ்ல தான் பேச முடியும். So I'll keep speaking in English, and wherever possible, I'll try to be also say in Tamil, but mostly it'll be in English. But let me start with a video, and then I'll go back to the my deck where I'll presenting the AI/ML part. Let's start with it's going to be it's going to be for 8th graders and above. So let's make it a little bit more fun. We'll start with Sophia robot, so that I can relate later on when I talk about AI/ML, how AI/ML are all linked with how the robots are working. So let's start with then. Let me start sharing the screen.
Hi, Sophia. I'm Alok. Welcome to
Are you guys able to hear me? Very able to hear the video? Were you guys able to hear the video?
Yeah, we heard a little bit, like welcome, Sophia.
Thank you. Alok. Congrats, CD, for inviting me to Shantigo.
Well, thank you. You're welcome. And hey, belated happy birthday. You just turned 4.
Thank you so much. Yes. In fact, my birthday is on Valentine's Day. So you can call me Valentine's Day robot.
And you had a great birthday bash, huh? You had a great birthday bash? Yes? Okay.
Oh yeah, it was so much fun. I got to cut my own birthday.
Dr. Vijay, I think அந்த இது அப்படியே நிக்குது. It's not.
Humans take their cake very seriously, so I was.
Well, what I wanted to show here is you can see the robot through its that's called as NLP. We'll cover that one little.
விஜய் ஆடியோ ஸ்ட்ரீம்ல பிரச்சனை இருக்குங்க. ஆடியோ கட்ட ஸ்ட்ரீம் ஆக மாட்டேங்குது.
விஜய் உங்களோட ஆடியோ கரெக்டா வர மாட்டேங்குது. And also we lost the screen share. விஜய் நீங்க மியூட்ல இருக்கீங்க. நீங்க எதுவும் பேசுறீங்களான்னு தெரியல. You're on mute.
Let me try again. இப்போ கேக்குதாங்க?
கேக்குதுங்க.
So let me rewind it back. So
விஜய் நீங்க ஸ்கிரீன் ஷேர் பண்ணலைங்க. We are not able to see your screen.
okay, one second. Let me go back.
We apologize for the technical difficulties. Or few minutes wait பண்ணுங்க. We'll get it all right. Thank you for your patience.
One second. I am trying the Zoom. Okay. Are you guys seeing me now? See, I'm not in mute.
You are not in mute. We can hear you well, but screen share வரல. முன்ன காட்டின மாதிரி we are not
Okay,
able.
one second. Now let me get the screen sharing going. Almost there. One second. Are you guys able to see the screen now?
Yes.
Okay, let's try again, because this video is very important for AI to see. Is it good now?
Thank you so much. Yes, in fact,
Audio is not that great, but we can see it.
இல்லைங்களா? audio கேட்கலையா?
அந்த யூடியூப்ல இருக்க ஆடியோ அவ்வளோ கிளியரா இல்ல.
That's what I'm also hearing from others. So, but we'll see if it's not thing, then I'll go back to my deck.
அது அவ்வளோ கிளியரா இல்லைங்க விஜய். நீங்க அதை சம்மரைஸ் பண்ண முடியுமா?
Okay, let me stop that one, and then I will stop that, and then I'll go with another. One second, let me just give me a minute.
Sure. Please bear with us. Actually, the live போற முன்னாடி we did test everything. I don't know, some technical glitches. He'll be back soon. நீங்கெல்லாம் ஒரு சண்டே மார்னிங் எங்களுக்காக டைம் எடுத்து வந்து ஜாயின் பண்ணியிருக்கிறீங்க. ஸோ தேங்க்யூ ஆல். We should be resuming shortly. For a few seconds, I think he's having some trouble with his laptop. So he said that he's going to join in a few minutes. Thank you.
Hello. Hello.
Hello.
So I'll get the deck and start talking about it so that, so let's see, because I've connected to another Wi-Fi to make it look better. So,
Okay.
so we should be going now. So, okay. Are you guys able to see now?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. Sorry about all the technical difficulties, but just wanted to give a glimpse about how the robots are now able to see, visualize, talk, understand. So what we're going to see is like, this is going to be the schedule for today. I can go a little bit longer based upon, since we lost like 15 minutes. So what we're going to talk about today is we'll talk about AI definitions and codes. And then we'll talk about the fourth industrial revolution, what is happening and how it's changing the world. So every revolution has changed the world. So why AI is very critical. And we're going to talk about the job opportunities. And primarily you guys are, most of you are interested what this is going to bring to you, right? What is kind of jobs? This is the hottest job market now is for AI skill set. The next one is like the key components of creating AI solution. Then we're going to see the oil for AI, which is the data. I'll talk about analytics, which is part of AI, which is the predictive, prescriptive, machine learning algorithms, and then advanced AI, and then cognitive services about NLP, NLU, what we are talking about the robot. So primarily about me, a little bit about AI part. I know, thanks for Kritika for sharing my experience. But on the AI side, I've been working at Coke, where I was heading two global solutions, like one for data science and other for marketing analytics, which is where AI is largely used. I'm currently heading Reynolds on their data and analytics and AI, as well as at Cox, I was heading their data strategy for a few months. And what I've done outside is like I've worked with a lot of companies like PwC, McKinsey, Accenture, CAP, Infosys, Cognizant. They all are my strategy partners who have worked with me on AI solutions. How do you transform the organization into an AI? based solutions. And on the academic side, for the past 3 years, I've been teaching on AI, as well as I've been speaking on terms of academic research in Munich and quite a few other places, how as a researcher we can apply AI into the industry. So with that, let's get into the definition. Again, if you see AI, people will say different things. Still, it is an umbrella definition. It's not been very clearly defined. Some will say AI is basically what is going to be vision, what you see, or looking at the eye movement, what speech, NLP. But some will say, no, it all does what human brain can do. So it varies. So at this point, the one which is people, academically people are leaning towards is the statement made by the Stanford scientist, John McCarthy, science and engineering of making intelligent machines, especially intelligent computer programs. That's a definition which will be more idle because anything else AI is going to surpass. Currently, if you look at the computer vision, people are more trusting AI than human vision. Human vision will make a 5% error, whereas currently the computer vision will do only 2% error. Example is if you are going to give about 100 different photographs and ask a human to identify a cat in it, a human can, like a cat, dog, a mixture of photos, the human can miss 5% of the photos, can get it wrong. Especially if you have a complex out of 20 dogs, there's only one cat, you probably will miss it. Whereas the machines will not miss that one, it probably will be 2% wrong. So that's the reason why on radiology as well as the insurance companies are using computer vision AI solutions instead of using humans way of identifying things. So there is people leaning towards AI. So AI is going to be beating. That's why the better explanation is it's a science and engineering of making intelligent machines. So I'm not able to see the chat. If anybody is going to be doing questions on chat, I can stop and take the questions. But you probably have to interview me because it is interfering in my deck. So Kritika, if you can interfere and say there are questions, I can take those questions. So these are the big codes which was made. When Sundar Pichai made this code about 4 years back, even I thought, oh, this is too much. Like it can't be more than fire and electricity. But then more and more I started getting into AI. It is going to be a huge innovation by humankind, which is going to benefit because it's going to make sure it's create a cure for some of the diseases which humans are struggling to find solutions at this point. And if you look at what Mark Cuban has said, AI is going to produce the first trillionaires. I also did another research how the big 5 companies are doing and what is one of the regression variables. The biggest one of that is like they're all following a data science and AI. They're investing a lot. When I went to Google, I found out in 2017, 3,000 AI projects have been initiated or commissioned by Google in 2017, compared to a lot of other organizations or not to that level. Same thing by Mark Cuban. If you're not at the speed of neural networks or deep learning, you lose. So let's go back and look at how the world is going to change because of AI. Because people can talk, but I did this research because when I was invited to speak in Malaysia by the Malaysian government, I wanted to talk more about what is going to benefit for them, how they can apply AI to improve their GDP, why they should be investing in their AI. So if you look at how India and China were there, they were the biggest contributor for the world GDP. You can see India was almost the number 1. The reason what happened is when the Industrial Revolution, the first Industrial Revolution which came, prior to that one, it all depended upon the productivity was based upon the number of hands and number of legs humans had. That was directly correlated to GDP. But then when you started having missions, the missions changed the whole dynamics. You can see UK increasing the GDP. And then you can start seeing Japan. So Britain was the one. So even the wars were won because they were using the Industrial Revolution. They were able to produce arms faster than others. So that was the biggest contribution. Then the second industrial revolution. That was the people who got benefited out of that was Britain, Europe, North America, and Japan. You can see how the GDP of India started shrinking, China started shrinking, and it was only after like 1990, both China and India started increasing. But again, they are not doing something new, but they are following the third industrial revolution, where US and Japan were already benefiting earlier, but now this is catching up. So now what's going to happen is the fourth industrial revolution, it's also, it's taking off. We can say historians will write it as 2015, the fourth industrial revolution has started. Let's take some more data points, how industrial revolution has changed. So when I talk to you in terms of number, Europe, Japan, and United States, people may call a lot of other things like corruption, which also plays, but again, the biggest driver behind it is technology. Technology is the one which changes the world, adoption to technology, the new technology. For US, we have Silicon Valley, which is driving the technology for us. You can see the rest of the world was 73 and US was 0.1. But now by 1900, it was 23.6. It still is maintaining a very high number because of the innovation. So you can also see the graph, which I'm showing here, the GDP is increasing. So what is going to happen now? The AI is going to make a huge impact on what the rest of the technology has done. If you see here, the GDP of steam engines was only 0.3. Then robotics was 0.4. IT was 0.6. AI in another 10 years, by 2030, will be contributing to 1.2. If you guys thought there's going to, the AI, IT professionals are so many people now, imagine how many people are going to be with AI in 2030. So if you don't invest yourself into AI, you are going to be left out. And a lot of the jobs which is being done by even IT professionals now will be done by AI. So you need to be one doing the work, what is the new technology is needed. So I'm not trying to scare people, but that is a transformation which has taken place throughout the world. So you can see the developed economies will benefit more than developing economy. So even though we all want India to be the one doing well, it's going to take some time because there's a lot it has to catch up. Again, when I was doing this research, part of it was my original study. And then when I was presenting it for the chief data officer's keynote for the whole North America, I wanted to make sure that I triangulate with some other sources. And McKinsey had produced very close to my research papers. And when I compared to them, they were also leaning to what my numbers were. So that gave me a confidence for me to go and speak in front of the C-levels representing the whole North American. So by 2030, this is what McKinsey is saying, about 13 trillion will be added to the GDP, which is currently the GDP is about, the global GDP is about 85 trillion. You can see by 2030, 13 trillion will be because of AI. So that's a huge number. You can see people who are going to be the front runners of GDP will be going up. You can see how the Silicon Valley and Seattle companies are all becoming trillion-dollar companies. They're all using a heavy AI-based recommendations. So I will cover some of those things, why these companies are doing well, and people who follow me in stock market, in financial markets, I'll be recommending these companies which are all in the technology edge, e-commerce. That's where the industry is moving towards. You can see people who are lagging is going to be losing the market share. So the example is Sears. People say Amazon impacted Sears. It's not just Amazon, it's some Amazon recommendation engine, where when you are trying to buy a product, you see all of the product which is there. Even yesterday, we were trying to shop in Lowe's. When we are trying to buy something, we ended up buying something else because of the recommendation, which was telling us, oh, these are the things people bought. So the recommendation engines are making a huge impact. Now, if you look at here, this again, the study shows who are all going to be benefiting. If you look at Sweden, North Korea, South Korea, UK, US, these are all real data, because this is what is going to be adding to the GDP more, whereas India is going to be, the GDP is going to be 6.5, but AI part of the GDP will be coming only 0.6 or 0.5. So this is where how the developed economics are going to be getting very benefit from AI, because they're spending a lot of money on the AI related solutions. So what the point I wanted to bring is follow the technology, because if even from Alexander time till now, people who adopted technologies faster and quicker were the ones who ruled the world. So now coming to the job market, why AI? So if you look at, this is the highest paying jobs at this point. The average for AI job is about 142,000. And if you go to Silicon Valley, I have a lot of friends who talk to me. For every person, there are 2 jobs is what been, but now things might have reduced, but that is the demand, what we are seeing in the Silicon Valley side. But it may not be the same in Atlanta, because I do teach and students who are coming out, they are not finding those kind of jobs. But again, they're finding within 6 months. But in Silicon Valley, it's a different story altogether. So let's look at the average salary of the machine learning. We'll be talking about machine learning, and the salaries of AI for is 5.8% increase year over year compared to the average of 2.9. And if you look at all the roles, what is there for AI's solutions, it's like computer vision, data scientist, database architect, algorithm engineer. These are all high-paid jobs. These are all with masters coming out of college. They're getting these kind of jobs. So demand for AI job, deep learning engineer. We'll cover about what is deep learning. I know I'm going to be throwing a lot of jargons, but the people who are listening to, especially if you're 8th grader or up to college, you probably want to write down the jargons. Go back and look at in YouTube or in Google, and because these things are going to be like Excel, what people are talking about. Everybody should know about these jargons by 10 years from now, because it's very, very common. Like if you're 10 years back when people said Google search or YouTube, people may not have been knowing about it. But now everybody knows about it. It's going to be like this in 10 years from now. So you can see this particular pattern. All jobs listed on Indeed grew by 29% year over year. But at the same time, the search has reduced, which means there's not many people to search. This is a very good indicator that there are more jobs and less people searching, which is tells that it's the other way around, where the demand is less. But here you have the very high demand, but less people to fulfill the demand. So now let's go into the components. Now we're getting a little bit more technical now that I got you guys all hooked into why you need to learn AI and how AI is going to change the world. Now I've given you how it is going to be benefiting for your career, the job market. Now let's get into the components. I'm going to get a little bit technical because these is all going to be a necessity for you in 10 years from now. And soon, some of these things will be making into the middle school level in a 5-year, 10-year period. And it's very critical for middle school and above, or even colleges. If you have done your bachelor's, it might be critical for master's. And you are even in career field, this will get you to move up your ladder, because they're looking for people who can understand this language. It's similar to e-commerce. Now, all the e-commerce stocks are going up. E-commerce companies are doing very well. And people want who can talk that language. That's what they're going to be hiring, because that's what the market is going towards. You can see a lot of companies, retail companies getting shut down, but they're all moving towards e-commerce. So now we are going to talk 3 major components. I made it very simple, not to make it boring. I know it's before lunch. So data, again, I'm going to make it a little bit more, I know a lot of you know data, but since there are about 8th graders here, I'm going to go a little bit about data and cover some of these things. And people who already know data or algorithm or joining, I will go into advanced AI at the end of the class. So I'm going to be covering both who are all new to this one, as well as people who are going to be, who wants to know about how the autonomous cars are running. So we'll cover even those things, but let's start with these 3 things. Very simple. When I run for my companies, these are the 3 places where the investment goes in. One is data. How do I source the data? Where do I get the data, clean the data, store the data, and data governing, which is very, very important, because you all hear about data breach, which is because of that companies are going, will be having legal issues. Then comes algorithms. This is what is the core of the data scientist. This is why you get paid very high. which is very hard for, I've seen a lot of, I know quite a few IT professionals are going to join this call, but where I find hard for them is they can't transform because this is all statistics. This needs a lot of statistical way of thinking. I've seen people who have done very well in data, people who have done very well in Java programming, a struggle to become a data scientist because you have to transform yourself. And what transformed me is my PhD. When I did my doctorate, I had to do my quantitative analytics where about a couple of years I had to do a lot of statistics, which got me into regression, correlations, and a lot of very advanced statistics, which helped me to transform. So statistics is very critical because you can move up even without knowing statistics, but you can't make it to that the cream level of data scientist. Then the infrastructure. Infrastructure is where you can store the data as well as you will be storing the algorithms. This is where you will store your Python program, R programming. These are all the languages which you use to write the code for your machine learning, because you have the data. So I will go little by little, what is the data? So if people are new to this one, you can understand what we are talking about data. So in data can come in different forms. I was talking about stock market, it's financial. You can get data about how the company is performing, what is their balance sheet, what is their income statement, all those things. And then it could be totally a number, or it could be all statistical, like it could be ratios. What is your debt ratio? It could be your cash ratio. What is your PE ratio? Or like also the weather. What about, because these are all very critical. When I was working with a beverage company, weather plays a very big important role. We use weather for everything for our analyticals. All our AI solutions, recommendations, weather is critical. So all of these things, wherever we are getting data, is the key part. Data is called as the new oil. Data can be called as the new currency. And now the big data, because the data is going to be flowing in a very, very fast pace. I'll cover what you call academically big data, because there is a lot of people who are throwing all these jargons, but you need to understand what is a big data. So let's get with a very simple thing to relate it to most of the kids who are middle school, high school. So let's get a little bit interactive here. Anybody who has used Facebook, Twitter, or any other social media? Can you just say your name and talk to me? Are you guys able to hear?
Yes, Vijay, we can hear you.
Anyone wants to talk, you can unmute and.
Yeah, it gets boring after a point if I'm talking to the screen and nobody talks back.
We have a couple of questions from chat. Would you like to address that now or later?
I can address that one now. So 1 second.
Okay, I can let you know the questions.
Okay. What is it?
So there is a question from Jerick, and he's asked, how did they program the bot in the video? Did they have a computer with scripts to control?
Can you repeat the question? What is the?
So Jerick is asking, how did they program the bot in the video?
Oh, the bot in the video. Yes, for that one you need a camera too, because it needs to go and go back and look at the video. And what we do is we take the video frame and then we break it down to like a photo at different frames and analyze the frame. Yes, there will be a video. Probably they would have kept it in the eyes to see and then capture it. So we have done like that in my job where, and I also have done a lot of projects with my students where they also do creating an IoT kind of device. So there are some coolers where we have kept cameras in the corners to which when people are opening, we capture that one. And then you go back and look at the video and then translate into the frames. And then you analyze what each frame is telling. And that's how the bots are getting programmed. And the remaining part is like chatbot, right? When you're doing the chat, how you're typing and how the programming is done. Whereas with the video and chat, it's both. You see both of them. You see the visual and we also see the text. In this case, it's a speech recognition. It has to recognize a speech, convert into text, and then it has to analyze. The way when you talk to Alexa or Siri, similar to that one.
I'm 8 years old, and how AI helped me during when I'm growing up?
You are 8 years old, and how?
AI will help me.
Oh, it's going to help in a different ways. It is going to be something in 2030, you probably will be having a robot will be an assisting you. There might be like you are, currently you have iRobot, which is cleaning your house, but you probably will have somebody who will take care of opening the doors. You'll have somebody who will be helping you with your, probably you will be older by then, will be helping your homework assignments. Wouldn't it be cool for you where you'll have somebody helping you with homework assignments?
Did they implant a chip in the robots so that they can hear you, your voice, and what's your request?
Yes, that technology is also developing, but I don't think that will be that soon before they're going to implant any chips on you. But you probably will talk and show actions to it, which will understand and react with you. There are already robots which is there. There are robots now in restaurants which is serving food, but it is and there are robots now which is available where people can buy it. There are a few robots which can be a super robot for be in the house, but it can do only very limited actions. But going forward, there's going to be more robots. Robots will be teaching. Robots will be helping. But the difference is going to be between a human and a robot, where human is still going to be controlling. Robots will still be doing only augmented area, which means it can do only one function. What human can do is he can do a general function, right? So let's take, I am now teaching, and all of a sudden, let's take something goes down here, there is a cockroach. I can still react. A robot, because it's only help to train to teach, it can only do that one. It cannot react. Let's take, there is something else, somebody else calls me. It may not be able to react what it has not been programmed. Whereas I can react as a human. There are few things where emotion, right? Now that I heard you are 8 years, I can create a different emotion on that one. I'm very happy because there is an 8-year-old showing an interest in this program. So that probably a robot, unless it is trained, it cannot relate to that one. Did I answer your question?
Okay. Thanks for the answers.
Yeah, I'm very glad that an 8-year-old is asking questions, because you need to ask questions otherwise you will not be able to clarify your doubts. So let's go over, because let's take Jerry, right?
Yeah.
Jerry, okay. So you have access to Snapchat or Instagram or any of those things?
No, I just have a Raspberry Pi 3A Plus.
Oh, you have a Raspberry Pi?
Yeah.
It's an IoT device, right?
Yep.
So just for others, right? The reason why I wanted to mention here is we collect data from different sources. The data will be when people are number of Google search, how many clicks, what is the bounce rate? The bounce rate is how long you are staying in the website, which is very critical for companies, so that we want you to stay in the website for longer so that you will buy our product in e-commerce. So how do you make your people to stay in the site for longer? Same thing for mobile. The downloads, what apps you are downloading, what you're clicking, how much of time you're spending. The reason I wanted to take social media is because Facebook, your clicks, shares, because all these things are important, because that is what will drive the products, the advertisers, because people want to make sure. I'm going to give some examples on Facebook or Google. You will see how the ads are getting sneaked in based upon what you've been searching in YouTube or in Google. So this is all called as data for people like Jarek. So let's take, this is data. The data is where we are trying to analyze what your usage pattern. And this is the oil in which AI will run. So I want to be very clear why data is very critical for AI. Without understanding data, AI is going to be very hard. Going forward, the algorithms are going to be very easy. Where the money is going to be is people who are going to be having a clean data or a clean oil. It is like this, right? Still oil is going up. The oil was expensive at some point of time. but the cars were very easy because it's already been automated. So the algorithms are going to be automated, but getting the data, making it clean, making it available is going to be very hard. So that's the data. The next big one, the big data. There's another huge thing, very big buzzword. Three important things. They're called as 3 V's. Again, people who are writing it down, please note it down. 3 V's makes a big data. If anybody wants academically, we also say 5 V's, but 3 V's are very important. Volume. I work for a beverage company. We used to have like 2 billion drinks a day, 200 plus countries, 1.5 billion drinks, a lot of outlets. I will say that experience I got from that particular company is like unfortunate, very fortunate, because you don't work that kind of a data, being in a global role, and it is a dream for any person who loves data. And having AI solutions and those kind of things, like companies are very, very hard to implement, like Google, Facebook, because the data at which it comes at you, it's such a high speed, and also the volume. So the volume is very critical for a big data. Then the variety. Now the data is becoming variety, because a lot of people who your parents would have dealt only with a structured data, which is more like text and probably numbers. But we are going to have very, very complex data going forward. It's streaming data. IoT is going to generate, they're saying every 2 years, it's going to be increasing, doubling the data, what we are going to get. And then again, these numbers are changing. Some say 5, some say 2. And then we're going to have a lot of pictures. Then we're going to have a lot of voice. All this data has to be stored, handwritten, like autonomous cars are going to generate so much of data. So which data has to be in variety, and then the velocity, the speed at which is going to come. Look at the Facebook, look at the tweets, look at the Instagram, Twitter. I know, unfortunately, 2 days back, like last week, I came to know that I'm spending 4 hours in my mobile. I thought it's a week. Then it looks like it is a day. So if it's going to be for an adult, I can imagine what is going to be for the teenagers in college, the students who are in college. It's good that I'm happy that I'm transforming, instead of spending in laptop, I'm spending in mobile. But we have to see where I'm spending in mobile, which is critical. Is it a productivity tool or just an entertainment tool? So this is what makes it 3 V's. So this is a very important slide. Wherever I go and present, a lot of people love this one. This is what it clearly differentiates between different jargon. You will hear in your career data science, AI, machine learning, deep learning, and then coefficients. So I've just given this chart how it is broken down. Data science is primarily statistically based one. It doesn't need to be training the machines, but still it is data science. But you still have machine learning part of it. So there is a layer which overlays between these two. The next one is the AI. AI has where you train the machines. You saw the robot, right? The robot has been trained. So just to make it very simple, you have to train like a kid. Machines doesn't know anything. You have to train. So it has been trained on English language. It's being trained on Hindi. When you see that robot, I'll show you guys a little bit later. It will say some Hindi words. And it will also answer questions. Some of the people will say, oh, these things are all pre-programmed. But there are going to be people asking questions from the audience. And it will pick up all these questions because it goes to the database. And like how our human brains react, it goes back and finds, based upon the keywords, what would be the right answer I should give. So, and probably because it's coming, they would have told these are the words going to be asked. So it might have kept some of these data in the cache. About Chandigarh, it would have kept something about India. So when the questions come about, it will relate some of the words related to that. Similar to what we do, right? Before this presentation yesterday night, I was preparing for the presentation to take on questions. So similarly, the robot will also prepare itself to some degree. So now let's go to the next one, infrastructure. So the reason I'm going to cover about infrastructure is I know it's going to be a session where you have multiple levels. So people who are going to be in high school or people who are going to be in Georgia Tech, if you're attending this session, or in other, if you are going to be in companies, So you need to also know about infrastructure, because this is a very key place. If your AI is going to be in multiple layers, one is in the programming side, it is also going to be in the engineering side. So you need to store data. So as I said, like it's like storing oil, cleaning oil, refining data is the place you store, which we call data lakes. This is another jargon. If you're noting it down, write down the lakes, because you will come across in your lifetime, like lakes is what we use in our companies, like AWS. AWS is Amazon Web Service. If you see the Amazon stock going up, primarily the growth rate of AWS was a key part before the COVID. And the same thing for Microsoft. The stock is being going up because of Azure has a very big revenue growth. Then the data warehouse. This is Redshift, Snowflake. The reason I've given only those is like those are the ones I have used or I've been hearing a lot in when I go back and talk in various conferences throughout the world. Because it's not just the US, we have to also look at what is popular in around the world too. Then the NoSQL databases, this DocumentDB graph database, these are getting popular, but it is not as popular as the data warehouses. Then the SQL databases, which has been there for a long period of time. And to execute the algorithms, this is for Jerry. For the reason I'm going to be using your name, I'm very happy that at least one of you are able to speak. So that for you, let's take, I want to giving this one, this is going to be a laptop where you're writing your program, right? So EC2 is going to be where you're renting your laptop from AWS. And this is where you will be writing your code in either Python or there are a lot of other things, but this is all getting very popular. Then you also have cloud native solutions, which is like AWS SageMaker and Azure ML Studio. I will strongly recommend there because that's where everything is moving towards. The three big cloud is where the whole industries are moving towards, which is AWS, Azure, and Google Cloud Platform, which is also known as GCP. So I'm going to go in a different mode into the analytics and AI. Any questions for me related to data or infrastructure? Because these are all fundamentals for AI or foundations for AI.
Actually, Vijay, we don't have a question specific to this thing that you asked, but there is another question in the chat. Would you like me to say it now?
Yes, please. Yeah.
Okay. Looks like this person is from India. She's a student who just finished her 12th grade. And she wants to know if she can do AI on the side, like from internet or YouTube by doing other courses. Looks like she wanted to get enrolled in a college, but all the seats are full, it seems. So she's just seeing if she can do it on the side using YouTube or net.
Yeah. So I'm a big believer in YouTube. I have learned a lot, self-learned a lot through YouTube. YouTube has a lot of, it's a university by itself. I also recommend my students when I give my lectures, I give a lot of YouTube videos to be seen because it's visual. It's not just, the only thing is you cannot clarify things, but YouTube, you can get a lot of information from YouTube. I strongly recommend, yes, you can go to YouTube, but there are a lot of other courses also, like Coursera courses and so many other courses which you can learn. But university gives you, it vets you, it makes you to test and those kind of things. A university makes it much more stronger. It gives a full-fledged thing. But YouTube is what, if you certainly can't get any seat in a college for now because it got filled up, YouTube is it's a very good source to learn. I've learned a lot of algorithms by myself through YouTube. YouTube is a great resource to use. Because that's what I was saying, like you can be in mobile 4 hours, but look at what you're spending your time on. So that when you go back and see what it is in YouTube, and it's boring sometimes, but some people do like the pods, right? Now where you can listen to the podcast when you're driving or when you are going for a jogging, you can do those things, which will also, because it's very interesting at this point. It's not learning boring kind of thing. It's like when you start doing the project, when you start building these robots, doing the chatbot, it's a lot of fun because you can see the mistake it makes, the reply it gives. So it's like a baby. You're trying to train those things. So something it's not the right answer, which you get back from it, or even the recommendation services which I provide. Some of the recommendation may not be accurate. So it's like a research. You get a lot of you don't feel bored. So let's get into the next level. It's called as analytics. You will also hear AI as advanced analytics. That's why I wanted to show this one. The descriptive, diagnostic analytics. Then you have the predictive and prescriptive. Descriptive analytics. This is a very important thing. People are taking notes. Please take this one. This one something will be there for your life. Descriptive is what happened. Example is, let's take you're trying to find out what is the census, like how many people are living in Georgia, or how many people are living in United States, or what is my sales figure of last quarter. That is a descriptive analytics. So the diagnostic is why did my sales go down? Why did I get, like for COVID will be a very great example. Why is Clorox sales going up? Why is this particular one taking off? Why is this sales did not do well? So all those kind of thing is diagnostic, which is like the first one is what happened. Second one is why. This is what has been there for a long period of time, either using statistics. Statistics was the diagnostic which was there. And descriptive was with Tableau and MicroStrategy and Power BI. I'm just going to talk about the tools, which is going to be in the top of the Gartner quadrant, we call it, which is in the top corner. Because these are the ones, because I don't want to say anything on favoring a particular product or not, because these are the most popular based upon the Gartner quadrant. So these are the ones which are explaining the C levels or the SVP levels or the VP levels, what happened and why it happened, and people are investing based on that. But now it become the predictive. Predictive was also there with statistics, but now it's making it with a machine learning. Now it tells like what is going to happen. And the prescriptive is if it's going to happen, what do I recommend? So example is, anybody in this one has seen a Netflix video? Do you have anybody has a Netflix subscription? Adults can also answer. I see Deepak.
I have a Netflix subscription.
Anybody wants to answer? Like, do you have a Netflix service?
I have a Netflix subscription.
How old are you, Deepak?
13.
13. Oh, that's good. So you know the reason is again I will also recommend you guys one thing as a professor. You have to be very interactive in the class. The person, and this is a good thing which you take it up in your career, because even in corporate career they look for people who are engaged and interactive. The people who are going to be listening will not getting their you will get a feedback during your appraisal cycle as well as in your college. In my college, I make a session where I give 10 to 15% of my marks is basically based upon people asking questions, because that's one thing which is very critical as a habit. So where you interact, then you get more engaged. So all your questions will get answered. You are interactive. So especially in an age where we are going to be an online based one, you don't know who is listening, who's not listening. So when you get engaged, example is like, let's take this is a career advice. When I'm in a C-level meeting, if I ask a question, I will get an answer back from my C-levels later, because you are the only one who asked a question. So you will say, oh, your question I went and found out, and this is the thing why we are investing on this one. So that gets me engaged with the senior leaders. So when they are looking for somebody later, they look at your articulation skills. So I will strongly recommend people who don't interact, get that habit, because that will be very helpful in a virtual environment compared to when non-virtual. In colleges, you will benefit a lot as well as in your career. So coming back to Deepak, in Netflix, what happens is it gives you a recommendation, right? So the prediction is it knows based upon the movie you watched, these are the most likely movies you're going to watch. and then it starts giving you a recommendation. Have you seen the recommendation?
Yes.
Was it helpful to you?
No.
So what happens is, this is a good one to talk about AI there, because that's a core of AI. This is called a recommendation engine. Based upon your what you click, it understands whether you took the recommendation or not, and it is learning. That's called as feedback loop. 55% of Netflix sales, it could have gone, because again, I'm not able to keep up with the exact ones. What was documented, 35% of the sales was coming from the recommendation engine. So that's how they killed a lot of other companies, where I personally have clicked a lot of recommendation, especially I watch old MGR movies. My kids are also listening to this one, they can vote for this. So when I watch that one, either in Amazon Prime or Netflix, especially during the COVID time, it will recommend me other MGR movies. So what others have watched, who had watched that one, and what I will like. It's called as collaborative filtering. The same thing applies for Amazon. Amazon, when it recommends you the products. So this is another word you guys want to write it down, called collaborative filtering. It's an algorithm through which recommendation comes. So that's called as prescriptive analytics. So now I want to show you about descriptive and diagnostic analytics. I went and used tableau.com, wherever I'm going to be using some other documents. I'm going to be giving a reference citation. This was from tableau.com, and then the other one is Gartner chart. So for people who have not used it, this is a way in corporate we invest into technologies. We look for what Gartner recommends, which should be in the top, especially big corporations like what I referred earlier, Cox or Reynolds. Like we look for the top in the corner, because somebody has already vetted. So if you look at Microsoft, Tableau, Thoughts, like those are all the big ones, MicroStrategies. So this is from Tableau, which is a descriptive, which is all says what happened, right? Market value by a team in 2018 World Cup. So this is like what happened. So this is descriptive analytics. So so it shows like center forward, center back, midfield, all those things. People analyze it and then say how these people are playing. Actually, during an interview, I recently found out somebody who was doing similar kind of work for a company. So so people also do it for sport. They go and analyze, and there's a big study about how the Oakland A's won using the data science. So this is descriptive. So now we can come to the predictive. We're coming to AI in a full-fledged. I still have like half an hour. So now we are going to go into all AI and core of AI, because we got the fundamental there. Now prediction. This is taken it from Zillow. So if you can take the Zillow part, it is this is my home part of it. Like it is quite accurate, because we just did for a refinancing part recently. And it's very close to what a human was predicting. So again, this is a change. It's an estimate. Again, it cannot be perfect, but this is Zillow. Anybody can go and these are all open. We can find anybody's house prices there. But this is a prediction. It says what is the house price. How it works is you are trained. Zillow AI is being trained based upon the square footage. What is the next house? What is the number of garages you have? How many bathrooms you have? How many bedrooms you have? How the age of the house? What is the lot size? See, all those things goes into it, and then it is learning based upon what it has got feedbacks, what recently got sold. So all those things makes it a very close range to that one. But again, there are a few things where it may not know whether you have used a lot of wood inside your house, wood decorations. So some things it may not know, but gradually it can be trained to a very accurate level. So people use this as an indicator while selling their, pricing their house or buying their house. A lot of people use this one. So this is called a prediction. Prediction is what is going to be the house. Let's take, based upon this one, if a new house is getting built, that it goes to go back and say what is going to be the house priced. This is on the prediction part. So now prescription. I wanted to show you guys what happens here. I was watching in YouTube. YouTube is the biggest, best recommendation part. How many of you go back and type your URL? Let's get some interaction here. Anybody else who uses YouTube? Let's get some adults on this one call. Any adults who want to be participating? Non-GATS members?
Hey, this is Vijay. I'm here. Yeah, what is the question?
Who is this? Sorry.
Hi, this is Vijay. I'm parent of Dakshin.
So the problem is I see talking Vijay again. When I talk, it says Vijay. So I was thinking like, okay, Vijay. So Vijay, the question is about. So do you use YouTube?
Yes, I do a lot. Yeah.
Yeah. So do you go back and type the URL again and again, or you go to YouTube and you spend another half an hour in YouTube clicking on the right side?
Yeah, I just go and type, and the moment I start typing, it automatically predicts what I want, and whatever I visited before, based on that, it gives me other recommendation and all that.
Cool. Yeah. So that's what I was to come. That's called as prescription analytics. That's called as a recommendation engine. YouTube, when I visited them, they said 75% of their revenue comes from the recommendation service, which is pretty accurate. Because when I go there, I type. I'm a big cricket fan. People of my friends know, like, I'm a big Super Kings fan, and you guys can see my Facebook, what I post during that time. So this is like, let's take, I was watching England versus New Zealand World Cup match. Yesterday I was getting bored of watching it. So then it starts showing me all these things. In this, if you guys can see, there are two of them are related to the ads. Even the ads are going to be sneaked in, because prior to this one, I was looking at the Zillow. Because I was looking at Zillow and it keeps the cookies there, you can see the moving homes ready ads coming in, right? That's also a recommendation engine. The Clorox by now, because of the COVID, people are getting the Clorox spot. So that is also another one which is giving in as an ad. But whereas the world record, because I did World Cup, it is showing me world record. And then it shows me the World Cup series. And then in the morning, I was looking at something related to Chola dynasty, and I was looking at some Tamil Sangam, Tamil related ones. Then the Chola related to that story which has come up here. So this is what is a recommendation. It knows very well based upon your patterns and based upon what people have viewed. So because of the World Cup series, they've seen, okay, 1985, 1986, Australia is another one people have seen the series because of England or something else. So it's recommended. So now let's. Yeah, go ahead. Sorry, Vijay.
No, this is Ram.
Hey, Ram.
Hey, Ram.
I
have a related question. If the recommendation engines use basically tags to make the recommendations.
So, sorry, what does it use? Sorry, can you repeat, please?
Tags.
Yeah, your cookies, yes. Yeah.
So my question is, the more number of tags you have on the video, the recommendation engine will do a better job. So how do they generate these tags? Do they use computer vision to generate these tags?
So it's a very good question. I worked on a few projects there, but of late we have started using, instead of human tagging, because it becomes very, very hard to tag. I can say, like, one of the projects in the company where I was working, we have a lot of photos. So we want to go back and say, like, a celebrity and the logos. We were planning to tag those things using an AI solutions, where that's what people do now. Like, it's very easy. These solutions are already available in Google, Amazon, and things where it can go back and find the celebrities. It can go back and find the tagging based upon the logos. So what we'll do is it will take the video, and then after taking the video, it will take a minute and then frame it to multiple frames within a minute. Like a 22 frame is an average being done. And then take that each frame and then go back and see what it is containing in that frame. It can contain the cricket based upon the bat. It can find that one out based upon the bowler coming in. So those kind of things, it knows it's cricket. Based upon some of the words which is coming there, it knows it's World Cup. Or based upon what people are speaking, it knows, so that tagging is being done. So currently it's not human tagging. It's all especially companies like YouTube and all. They are pretty advanced compared to a lot of other companies here. So it's all done through the mission tag.
Right.
So did I answer your question, Ram?
Yeah, that's what I was looking for. Thanks. Yep.
Vijay, your question answer பண்ணுங்க.
Yeah, the question I have is how will the Gmail works actually? Because what I notice, if I use Gmail versus Yahoo Mail, I see that they control spam much better than anybody else in the industry. How do they do it?
I don't know the algorithm, Bena. It might be a secret there, but I can generally say, because these things have worked on email opening at colleges where we have done projects. There is a lot of data science which goes on what emails gets opened, what is the subject, all those things. So it is getting trained based upon multiple things. Again, I'm guessing. I don't know the exact logic there, but what based upon the patterns, I'm guessing here using the sender, right? What is the sender? How many people they are getting it? How many people it's being sent together? And is it related or not? All those things will go in, and based upon people have opened it or how many people have crashed it. So all these patterns will be used for making it a spam or not. But now the spam things are very good. I've seen my company spam very accurate. Very few things are going there. That's basically based upon various algorithms. We'll come about something called as reinforcement learning. You don't need to train the machines by itself. It is learning by itself nowadays, because it's called as reinforcement, which is used for autonomous cars. How cars are driving, it learns. I have a session on that one. I'll have a couple of slides, so I'll cover in that one.
Okay, thanks.
Wait, so switching tracks, like back to the robots. So like I heard like in the news, like that robots and like machines are going to be like doing surgery and like medicine related like activities and like humans in the future. So like how soon do you think like surgeries or like just like prescriptions or stuff are going to be handled by robots in the medical industry?
It's how old are you, Alok?
Me, I am 15. 15.
Okay, it's good because based upon the voice, I can say that you probably are younger. But good to hear all those questions coming from younger kids, because the reason why I agreed for this one, I wanted to inspire rather than anything else to give the technical part, because I've seen like one of these sessions can inspire one or two who can use this one. It is already there. There are a few places where people are doing it for some surgeries there. Again, I'm not a qualified medical part, but what I will say based upon the progress which is there, probably it is taking place, but I will say by 2025, 2030, you will see much more advanced, because the advancement going on is way quicker. Again, the complexity of those things will be used. The accuracy is getting much better now with some of the studies which I'm seeing on surgery part. So these are all the ones where when I go for conferences, the biggest knowledge I get on outside my domain area is the conferences where when people come and talk, who are all the CDOs on that particular levels, they say that the healthcare thing, and but more than that, it's there on gene and other kind of things. It's going on a very vast improvement. Like it's an ocean now. I may not be accurate, but I may say, if I had to guess, more closer to 25 to 30 will be where you will be seeing in more areas.
Hi, so I'm Dakshin, and I have a question about AI in general. So I heard that once AI is implemented, a lot of jobs will be taken away, but do you know any non-IT jobs that AI won't, or AI will actually create?
Yeah. So it's a very, very, very good question. How old are you?
I'm 15.
15, okay. Sorry, I missed your name. What's your name?
Dakshin.
Rakshit, okay. It's a very good question. It's a myth which is there. But one thing for sure, anytime, because the same question had been asked when computers were found, same question was raised when internet was found, because I've been through those ages and I've seen, computer will come and destroy the jobs. It did not destroy the job, it created more jobs. If you look at the whole world, the number of jobs created, the only thing is you need to transform. This one word, I know a lot of young kids are listening. Transformation is very critical. If you don't transform, you are a dead leaf, we call it. So yes, it will take away jobs who are not transforming, but the more jobs will be created. So because computers came and there is like how many millions of people are there in computers? Millions or billions of people. This is only like last 30 years, right? Computer jobs have been created. And this last 20 years, there is going to be a phenomenal jobs were created. So there's going to be more jobs created. Technology will never be reducing the jobs. Yes, it will reduce the jobs in that particular field, but it's going to create jobs. The people who are going to be impacted are people who are not taking the step on learning. This is all a very good crowd where people are putting themselves coming here to learn, or the ones which is going to benefit. The people who are sitting there and complaining that and looking at old technologies, it's like, oh, I do agree, we want to maintain the culture, we want to maintain all those things, but technology changes. You cannot be using the old technology. It could be anything for that matter. You need to adopt to the new technology. If you don't adopt to the new technology, you will be you will be struggling, because that's how the industry works. It will not, because it is going to create a lot of jobs, because you need too many people to take care of the bots. You need people to clean the data, because like oil, right? Oil, when it came, the people said the same thing. Oh, horses were the only one. It's going to take away all the horse-smithers' jobs and the guys who are taking care of the horses. Yes, but it created a lot of jobs. Who's cleaning the oil? People who are creating automobiles. People who are fixing the automobiles. So you will have a lot of shops which will be fixing the hands of robots, fixing the eyes of robots, fixing the brains of robots. The fixing the brains of robots will be very expensive. And then more than anything else, people are going to clean the data. That's critically the oil refinery. Those kind of jobs are going to be tremendous. So they're going to be high-paying jobs because it's new technology. So yes, that's a concern. People have all got worrying about, are you going to have, the next question which I common get asked is like, are you going to have Terminators? Are you going to have people, robots roaming our street with guns? Yeah, we are all being spoiled with Hollywood, right? They keep telling us about all these things, but human always control. It's like asking the cranes are all moving by itself. There is going to be some here and there accidents going to happen. There were quite a few accidents which happened with cranes, but cranes are lifting 1,000 times than your hands can lift. So the machines are going to be 1,000 times powerful than, I'm going to come to a slide where it shows your brain is going to be inferior to AI in an augmented area. It's so inferior that you will say like you will not trust your brain for certain things on augmented. General, yes. So did I answer your question?
Yes, you answered my question. Thank you.
Okay, so let's keep going on this one. But I think when you ask questions, where it gets a passion out of me, and then it also gets other people to rely on. Otherwise, I'll be like a robot talking with what I've prepared. So for people who want to learn or writing it down, taking notes, algorithms are divided into this: supervised learning, unsupervised learning, semi-supervised, and reinforcement learning. This is all like where the 4 areas, which is regression, is basically what we saw in Zillow. A particular value, forecasting a value or forecasting a sale, a number. So that is called as regression. Classification is whether people will buy or people will not buy. Whether they will open an email was a good example. Whether it is a spam email, not a spam email. That's called as a classification. So other thing is called as clustering. The difference between a classification and clustering is, example is where Ram was asking a question. If you're already tagged, that's called as a classification, because you know you are labeled in information. You are labeled as a cricket, you are labeled as a hockey. So you know where the bin where you can put. But if you don't know any labeling and you want the machines to cluster, that's called as clustering. So so that's another one where if you take any consumer industry, clustering is very, very important because we don't know what the customer is. So the clustering is a very big thing for segmentation. What products do I have to keep it in the Kroger? That's clustering. Which stores do I have to send a particular product? That is clustering. So some of them I may not know the details. So that is what the clustering comes in. So if you go for any CPG companies or any kind of consumer focused companies, clustering technologies are very, very critical. If you know that technology, it is going to be what I can say similar to for a healthcare industry, you probably will know about the gene-related things will be very critical. Like that, it will be for CPG industries. Then the next one is going to be related to the dimensionality reduction. Which data do we have to use? Those kind of things are going to be clustering. It's getting too technical there. I will skip that one given time. The semi-supervised is going to be algorithms, which is partly tagged, partly tagged, like the healthcare industry, gene therapies, image, speech analysis. Some of them will be there, will not be there. So these are all the very advanced area which is going in. So the reinforcement learning, the video games, the self-learning driving cars. So currently I teach a lot of reinforcement learning and GAN. This is all the very advanced AI technologies. My students developed, this is very interesting for, since we have a lot of kids here, tic-tac-toe. The tic-tac-toe, initially when they developed, they were playing against the computer, they were training it. So when I played against it, I beat it. And then when they came back for the final presentation after the proposal, they made a smart move. They made two missions to play against each other. Right? They trained it for 4 days. So it became so good. I'm not bad in tic-tac-toe. I used to be a very good chess player and a very good tic-tac-toe player. I couldn't beat it. So it is the good part is it is getting better and better and better every time they are running this one. And now they created a tic-tac-toe where humans cannot beat it. If you have to beat a tic-tac-toe there, only a machine can beat that one, which is happening in chess. I used to play with Anand. A lot of you know about it. I used to play pretty high level chess, but if you take now, no grandmasters can beat a mission. Mission is currently ranked at 3,300, 3,400, whereas the top ranked grandmaster is only 2,800. So a grandmaster will get beaten by a chess mission, which is even inferior ones by 10-0 if they play 10 games. So, and that is not even trained with reinforced learning. So reinforcement learning is where it picks up by itself. And now that is getting applied into what we talked about, recommendation engines is getting applied into YouTube's, and it's learning better and better and better. So rather than your friend recommending what you will like, the missions will be much accurate what you will be liking. So this is classification, which I said regression is where you want, where we're going to get a number in Zillow, what we said, the classification, whether let's take the plus is the one, which is spam, and the circle is, which is an email which you'll open. So this is called as classification. So now we'll go to autonomous car. I will not go to the technical details, but look at autonomous car. When you look at the car, you look at you look at the signals and other things. When you look at from the reinforcement learning point of view, the bottom part where it shows what is a road, what is a payment. This again, I took it from a taffy.com in there, so I want to give credit for them on this particular one. If you look at the symbol, since it's education purpose, I said I will use that as a reference. But it shows the trees and it shows the symbol. So this is how the reinforcement learning will be using to learn autonomous cars, right? Then you can see this is Berkeley where they teach. This is a very good example what they've given here. How the scanning of camera and then how the mapping takes place, how it's getting trained, how the control commands to driver can override it, which gets learned. So the ego vehicle status, driving environment. So this is how the autonomous car works. It's not basically about I'm trying to teach an autonomous car here, but we'll talk about how the reinforcement learning is being applied. So this is where some of you, if you had an opinion about your brain is better than AI, when it comes to augmented part, we are about 30 times inferior. So this is something which is about a 2-year-old data. So now it might be even be more. When I say augmented, it's like a chess, or if you're saying where it can suggest on recommendation, where you're going 1:1. So if you compare where I can do multiple things, a human brain is far superior. The brain, what we can create, that's basically based upon the number of neurons and the number of neurons connectivity. The human, the machine currently is equivalent to a size brain of a frog. And there is a theories out there where a human kind of brain will be, a general kind of a brain will be sometime about 2050, 2055, around that range, and which is going to be speeded up when you are going to have quantum kind of technology coming in, which is going to compute. But this is where the machine learning is about 15 times, and then about RL, which is the reinforcement learning, is going to be like 30 times. So this has been done by a company where, sorry, I'm not giving credit, like where they've done a research based on the video games. Where you can see some of the video games, the power of reinforcement learning versus a human level learning, which means you play a video game and you allow machines to play again, to do it. It's learning better and better and better. You can't beat the machine. It's so many times higher. So now let me stop before I go to the next level. Since we have some of the kids here, anybody who wants to ask me questions on video games or on how the robots are getting trained? And anybody got scared by now? No questions? It's been only boys and men. Anybody, ladies, girls? Because we want to have women in IT, women in data science. I do have a lot of students in GSU who are all, quite a few of them are women. So I would like to get a girl or a woman to ask questions. Anyone?
We don't have any in the chat room also so far. It's just that one person asked if you'll be sharing the presentation deck, which I don't think so. So I said that, yeah, that's what I thought too.
I don't share the deck because of, I don't want anything to be running around in any other places. And because again, anybody can debate all these things or not totally peer review papers. Some of them, yes, some of them are on the industry level. Some of them are quoted. Some of them are guessed, like this is going to happen. So I don't want it to be like a debatable thing in social media.
Sure, we understand. Thank you.
Okay, let me proceed with that. So do you see these pictures in the top? Anybody wants to guess about the photos, what is there in the top? These are all computer generated pictures. This doesn't exist. So these are all, so this is a new technology called GAN, where we can train a computer. So how a Picasso, so all this point of time, it is more of a quantitative. Now I'm going to come towards artistic side of the brain, like where you are imaginative, right? This, as being an artist, when I saw this one, this is where it was like, my heart was, oh my God, the machines can, I thought only humans can be creative. Now machines can also be made creative. So this is where it did hurt me some time back when I first saw this one. Because what is going to happen now is you're going to have Picasso, if he is going to be here now, how his art is going to be, what he would have thought and drew. So because you can, there are two neural networks. So again, another word which is very critical in machine learning part, which you all will be like a Java programming. All will be very familiar in 2030. Is where you train using two machine learning neural networks. Just again, people who are noting it down, if anybody who are from in college and above, neural network is when you have 3 hidden layers and above for technical people, then it's called as a deep learning. When you have 2 neural networks learning from each other, one is called as doing the fraud, another one is detecting the fraud. It learns by itself and then it becomes a master. So you create a Picasso art and then non-Picasso art and give it to them. It analyzes both of them so well, then it can become a Picasso and it can start drawing like a Picasso. So that's how this art, which went for $500,000 about a year back, 2 years back, it's a machine created art. So the same thing can be applied for so many other things, where if you want to create some kind of images equivalent to that one, so you can so this is where you can see where the machines are creating when you are seeing like an older image of you. So how you will look, because it's been trained, it learns about you and it can create a younger look of you, older look of you. That's all getting created using GAN. So where it is going to be created, it's going to be created for new music. Creating new content. A lot of contents can be created not by a publisher. So somebody asked about the jobs. Yes, the publisher jobs are a threat. So musician jobs, they are still not a threat, but it is going to be like what the machines can do is it can create in your phone a composed music individually for you based upon your previous likings, and it's going to make it sound better what you will love it. Because everything can be broken down to the music notes. And let's take you love a part of Ilayaraja, you love part of A.R. Rahman, you love part of MSV. So it knows after a particular point of time, these are the notes which you are liking. So the one which is going to generate will have a combination of all these things, which is the one which is a little bit of hurting because it's going to be better than some of the artists. Where it's not now, probably in 2025, 2025, 38, you will have in your iPhones where you will generate your own music, which is going to be what you're going to like. You're going to generate own art. So it's just going to be what you're going to be. So those are the same thing for your food is going to come in there. So it's going to be for text. Anything which you can break it down to smaller levels, you can create those things. Equations on GAN. A lot of people asking questions on GAN. Okay, so now let's go back to what we learned in the morning, right? We talked about Sophia. The Sophia was NLP NLU, which is the natural language processing, where it is taking your voice, it is generating what you're saying. It's called as NLP. Then image recognition. It is recognizing the person. So there is one place where somebody, if you go back and look at one of the German, he will say to Sophia, I love your hairstyle. It immediately recognizes the person who is also talking to her is a bald guy. So it says, we both go to the same hairdresser because it has gone back and looked at the person's image, and then it made sure that he's also bald like her, and then it made that comment. So that's the image recognition where the robots will be able to understand. So now insurance companies, they go back and look at your rooftops and then making sure that whether you're trying to do any kind of fraud when you're trying to get a claim. The same for cars. Because people are adjuster will not be coming. So the number of adjuster jobs are going to reduce because instead of one adjuster who will do, now you're going to have a machine which will do about 3 adjuster jobs in verifying whether it is accurate or not. So, but adjuster will still be overriding the machines. But again, it reduces. Instead of a person who's going to cover 4 or 5 in a day, probably machines will be covering more. Again, most of you are familiar with Lex and Siri, which is on the intelligent bot. That's a speech. Eye movement is becoming pretty big now because when I was at the Congress, very soon like this, we went to meet the congressmen as well as the senators in Georgia, because where I was advising on the AI part of it. So when we met them, there was Verizon who came and demoed about the eye movement, what they use for some of their employees who cannot type. He hardly has hands, but he can speak and he can see. But they've recruited him. But what they were able to do is using his eyes, he can blink, or based upon that, it can click on the web, and based upon that, he can still work. He can look at the website. He can click based upon his eye movement. It knows which tab it is going, and then if he's going to blink, it's going to be a click. So he can go back and fill up all those things, and he can use speech. So person without hands can still operate using the eye movement, and the machines using the camera can track. So these things are now we are using it in some of the technology when we are interviewing people. We use that one to see whether they are lying or not, based upon how their eye movement is there, whether they're looking at something else, whether they're getting help from somebody else. So you can monitor all those things because the machines can figure it out, whether these things are based upon what it has seen, how people have done fraud and people have not done fraud. So then the video analysis, which we talked for a tag, Ram's question. So I think with that, I know I went a little bit past because we had some glitches in the beginning. So it's 104. Any questions? Especially, I would like to get questions from my younger crowd because this was addressed to the youth.
I think you've provided a lot of good information, so people are still processing it. They might come back to you with questions.
Any other thing I have to address in chat? I have not seen the chat.
Chat, I've taken all that questions to you, so we don't have any pending questions.
Sorry, no questions, then I think we can wrap it up. Right?
Oh, 1 minute. We have a question, so let me read it. So it's from Utkarsh. Sorry if I'm saying your name wrong. So his question says, sir, so far I'm familiar with data science concepts and libraries such as Pandas, NumPy, I don't know these names, Seaborn,
Yeah,
etc.
the frameworks. Yeah. Good.
Yeah, I'm also familiar with say something like sklearn library for machine learning algorithms. I have also done a few projects with these libraries. Is there any other prerequisites that I need to, sorry, scrolling. Is there any other prerequisites that I need to explore before I start diving into OpenCV and AI in general?
It's a very good question. It's going very technical. So you can do those things because those are the areas. But what I will recommend is like get your statistical part pretty familiar because yes, you can go back and call the libraries and use that one. But there is something called as explainability of your why it happened when you come to the commercial side of it. Let's take you are going to go back and say this recommendation. You need to be able to explain how the underlying thing works. So calling, yes, you can have your Jupyter notebook, have the scikit or Terra, all the Keras or TensorFlow, call those libraries, and then you can create an algorithm. But knowing the statistic part will be able to help you better explain the solution. But certainly keep expanding yourself, like don't limit because this space is going very fast and OpenCV is, yes, you can start using some of them. The edge computing is going to become very much, especially, I'm going very technical for some of you guys, because what we are trying to do is we want the machines to be intelligent at the edge in the IoT. We want the cameras to be very smart at the edge. So all those things are needed when we are talking about some of these technologies.
Any other questions?
Which college do you go to? The person who asked about the technical question.
Sir, so I went to Georgia State first semester, and now I'm going to Georgia Tech.
Oh, you're going to go to Tech. Okay, so you're taking AI there, or what is the course you're taking there?
I'm focusing more on intelligence and devices. That's my thread.
Okay, so you need to, whatever you said is like if you're going to be more into that area, devices and intelligent, you should be focusing on what you are already saying, like anything on the cameras or OpenCVs at the edge. Edge computing is huge.
Yeah, so we have one more question. It's from Jay Kanishka. So the question is like, sir, what industry do you think will benefit the greater from AI technologies?
Pretty much all industries will benefit because we are seeing across the industry, but the changes is going to be a little bit different. I did not share the slide. I did have it by the other section, but if you take manufacturing, it's going to be something different. You will see a lot of predictive maintenance areas. If you take retail part, you will see the consumer classification models. If you go back and see Verizon and others, you will see more related to customer service because the customer service industry. So it all depends, but AI is going to be used across our industries. Healthcare will have its own way. Education is going to have its own way. So it is going to be used Only thing, the algorithms will be different for each of the sections.
Thank you.
Specific
Thank you, sir.
question? Yeah. Jay Kanishka, is it?
Yeah,
Yes.
thank you, sir.
How old are you? Do you go to which college or
I'm 15. I'm in high school.
high school? Okay. Good question.
Anybody else?
I'm glad all the youth is asking questions. So,
Yeah. Okay, so we don't have any more questions in the chat room.
but otherwise, GATS, thanks for the opportunity. It is a pleasure talking to the all the youth as well as their parents, as others who joined the call. It was a good initiative, and thanks for the opportunity.
Yeah, actually, it's us. We have to thank you for taking a time on a Sunday morning and spending time with us in educating our students. So with this, I want to invite Jay, GATS president, to say a few words and to thank you.
நன்றி நன்றி
Jay?
நன்றி விஜய், நன்றி, மிக்க நன்றி. கிருத்திகா சொன்னது போல் ஞாயிற்றுக்கிழமை காலையில் ஒரு 2 மணி நேரம் வந்து கேட்ஸ்ல நீங்க இந்த ப்ரோக்ராம் பண்ணது எங்களுக்கு மனமார்ந்த நன்றிகள் விஜய். உலகம் முழுவதும் இன்று தொழில்நுட்பத்தினால் நிறைந்திருக்கின்றது. தொழில்நுட்பம் இல்லை என்றால் நாம் இல்லை அப்படின்ற ஒரு சூழல் வந்து கொண்டே இருக்கிறது. அதுவும் இந்த அயல் நாட்டிலே அமெரிக்காவில் பாத்தீங்கன்னா தொழில்நுட்பம் இல்லாமல் நீங்கள் வாழவே முடியாது அப்படின்ற சூழ்நிலைகள் தான். அதில் ஆகச்சிறந்த ஒரு ஏஐ என்ற ஒரு டெக்னாலஜி கொண்டு வந்து நம்முடைய குழந்தைகளுக்கெல்லாம் ஒரு விதையாக இன்று நீங்கள் இட்டிருக்கின்றீர்கள். இதுக்கு கிரேட்டர் அட்லானா தமிழ் சங்கத்திலிருந்து எங்களுடைய மனமார்ந்த நன்றிகள். விஜயை பற்றி 2-3 வரிகள் மட்டும் சொல்கின்றேன். தொடர்ந்து பல வருடங்களாக தமிழ் சங்கத்தில் அவருக்கு தெரிஞ்ச விஷயங்கள் எல்லாம் கொண்டு வந்து சேர்த்துட்டே இருக்காங்க. அந்த குடும்பமே அப்படிதான் இருக்கும். எப்பவுமே யூஸ்வலா பாத்தீங்கன்னா விஜய், அவருடைய மகன் எல்லாம் பார்த்தீங்கன்னா தனக்கு தெரிந்தது தான் மட்டும் கற்றுக்கொள்ளாமல் மற்றவர்களும் அதில் பயனடைய வேண்டும் என்று 1 மாத காலம் முன்பாக கூட அக்ஷயா அவர்கள் வந்து தன்னுடைய நாலேஜ் எல்லாம் இங்க ஷேர் பண்ணிட்டு இருந்தாங்க. அதற்காக என்னுடைய மனமார்ந்த நன்றிகள். இந்த இணைப்பில் இணைந்த அனைத்து பெற்றோர்களுக்கு என்னுடைய மனமார்ந்த நன்றிகள். அந்த பெற்றோர்களின் உறுதுணை இல்லாமல் அந்த குழந்தைகள் வந்து இந்த செஷன்ஸ் எல்லாம் அட்டென்ட் பண்ணவே முடியாது. தொடர்ந்து இதை யூத் கமிட்டில இருந்து எஜுகேஷன் கமிட்டில பண்ணிட்டே இருக்காங்க. அதற்கு கிரேட்டர் அட்லானா தமிழ் சங்கத்தில் இருந்து 2020 டீம் மூலமாக உங்கள் அனைவரையும் என்னுடைய நெஞ்சார்ந்த நன்றிகளை உங்களுக்கு தெரிவித்துக் கொள்கின்றேன். விஜய், எனக்கு ஒரே ஒரு கொஸ்டின் இருக்குது. we need to have any basic knowledge to learn AI. ஏதாவது அடிப்படை உங்களுக்கு தெரிஞ்சிருக்கணுமா? இல்ல யார் வேணா படிக்கலாம்?
தமிழ்ல பேச ஆரம்பிக்கலாம். என்ன பசங்க உங்களுக்கு தான் பதில் சொல்றேன். ரொம்ப இம்பார்ட்டன்ட் இதுல வந்து நீங்க ஸ்டாட்டிஸ்டிக்ஸ் கொஞ்சம் இம்பார்ட்டன்ட். ஏஐ கத்துக்கிறதுக்கு வந்து அந்த ஸ்டாட்டிஸ்டிக்கல் பார்ட் இஸ் வெரி இம்பார்ட்டன்ட். அதுதான் பேஸா இருக்கும். இன்னும் நிறைய இடத்துல டேட்டா சயின்ஸ் பாத்தீங்கன்னா they will look for masters in statistics. But other approach you can do also is சில questions எல்லாம் வந்தது இல்லையா, as a computer person you can also learn the frameworks that Chinnapaya was mentioning, right, about the frameworks like TensorFlow. அதெல்லாம் வந்து you can use notebooks. அது வந்து people who are familiar with Java can easily learn those kind of things. Anybody who is learning programming can learn Python. Python will be my recommendation. Pythonல அந்த particular frameworks எல்லாம் கத்துக்கிறது will be there. But again, you will be good in that one, but to make it to a higher level, to get recruited and transform, you need statistics.
நன்றி நன்றி விஜய். அதான் எனக்கு வந்து இந்த செஷன் பார்க்கும்போது எனக்கு படிக்கணும் போல, அதுக்காக தான் நான் ஒரு அடிப்படை கொஸ்டின் கேட்டேன் நான். ஸோ மிக்க மகிழ்ச்சி. ஸோ இணைப்பில் இணைந்த அனைவருக்கும் என்னுடைய நெஞ்சார்ந்த நன்றிகள். கிருத்திகாவை பற்றி ஒரு வரிகள் சொல்லி முடிக்கின்றேன். கிரேட்டர் அட்லானா தமிழ் சங்கத்தில் எக்ஸிக்யூட்டிவ் கமிட்டில இருக்கிறாங்க. தொடர்ந்து பாத்தீங்கன்னா இது 2வது செஷன் பண்ணிட்டு இருக்காங்க. இந்த 2-3 வாரங்கள்ல தொடர்ந்து நிறைய டைம் தன்னுடைய சொந்த நேரத்தை இங்கு கிரேட்டர் அட்லானா தமிழ் சங்கத்துக்கு செலவு செய்து கொண்டு இருக்கிறார்கள். தன்னார்வ தண்டில் முதன்மையாக வந்து கொண்டே இருக்கின்றார்கள். அவர்களுக்கு என்னுடைய வாழ்த்துக்கள். இணைப்பில் இணைந்த அனைத்து குழந்தைகளுக்கு என்னுடைய வாழ்த்துக்கள். உங்களுக்கு ஏதாவது கேள்விகள் பதில்கள் இருக்குமே என்றால் நீங்கள் வந்து டைரக்டா ரீச் அவுட் பண்ணலாம். உங்களுக்கு ஒரு ஸ்ப்ரெட்ஷீட் மாதிரி இருக்கும்னு நினைக்கிறேன். அதுல கொஸ்டின்ஸ் எல்லாம் போட்டீங்கன்னா நம்ம விஜய் அவர்களுக்கு அதை அனுப்பி வைத்து உங்களுக்கான பதில்கள் வரவழைக்கப்படும். ஸோ இன்னொரு முறை கிரேட்டர் அட்லானா தமிழ் சங்கத்திலிருந்து உங்கள் அனைவருக்கும் என்னுடைய வாழ்த்துக்களையும் நன்றிகளையும் கூறி விடைபெறுகின்றேன். நன்றி, வணக்கம்.
மிக்க நன்றி ஜெய். what you guys are doing is very good in the COVID timeல எல்லாருக்கும் you're making it very useful. So it's been pretty nice.
Thank you. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.